Welcome back to the Rodecast, guys. Hope y'all doing well out there. I'm your host, Rod, as always. And in this video, we're going to be talking about a very tragic case coming from California, once again, where a college-age kid in his 20s decided to try to be a hero and throw a glass bottle at federal agents who were leaving the scene after arresting an illegal. So this is the exact kind of thing that I don't want to happen, and part of the reasons I make my videos to explain to people that federal law enforcement is simply doing their jobs to remove the people who have invaded our country. But people who've been brainwashed by open borders propaganda from the left don't believe that that's a valid reason. They think everybody around the world should freely invade our country and we should do nothing to remove these people. That's why they hate ICE so much. And when you brainwash people with that ideology, they think it's heroic to stand up and even do violence against ICE agents. So this is what happens when you go down the open borders rabbit hole and you think that every freaking taco eating lunatic across the border, the southern border, has a right to break into our country. This is the kind of action it leads you to.
It was quite a scene. There were about a dozen Border Patrol agents who took down one man. They took him into custody. And as that was happening, there was a crowd. There were witnesses. They were furious. They were shouting at the agents. And then things just escalated quickly.
Yeah, she didn't explain that the man that was tackled by the agents was an illegal alien who wasn't even supposed to be here. So they were doing their job and removing him. Okay, so again, this is Fox 11, and they always have a very hard time saying the word illegal alien, but they didn't even say undocumented immigrant or whatever the hell euphemism they use usually. She just said man, as if he's just a regular American who was arrested for no reason. No, he's an illegal alien who should have never been here, and ICE was doing their job, and this guy decided to take it up on himself to throw a deadly weapon at them. That's what happened here, lady. And there are many other people who are getting in the way of the arrest as well, as you'll see in this video.
That's my baby. Well, relax. Touch me again.
When Border Patrol agents arrested a man outside a Home Depot in Playa Vista Monday morning, it sparked a heated confrontation with bystanders.
They think they're all Rambo with their paintball guns. They're such losers.
Angelique Ryder-Mitchell rushed outside when she heard the commotion and saw agents arresting a man on the ground.
I'm so disgusted with how these federal officers are coming into our city to tear everything up, our relationships, our neighbors, the families in our communities.
You have a relationship with these tacos? They don't even freaking speak English. How are you having relationships with them? Okay, are you married to one? What are you talking about? Specify what those relationships are, lady. And Rambo? What the hell? Okay, so that's just an insult. I'm just going to let that go. You can call them Rambo. You can call them whatever action heroes you want. Okay, they're doing the job that is necessary because our country has been made disgusting by the invasion of a bunch of savages across the border in the South who we don't want here. Your anti-white ass might want these animals here, but we don't. That's why ICE is doing our job. The citizens, the real Americans here who want these people dragged out of here, and they're doing their job to do that. They're enforcing federal law, and you have a problem with it. I get it. Who you actually have a problem with, if you think these scenes are ugly and unseemly, you should have talked to all the other presidents before now for letting these people in here in the first place, including especially Joe Biden. Okay, I don't want to, everybody hates on Joe Biden at this point. Under him, a lot more of them came in than anybody else. That's why people attack him the most. But anyways, many other presidents are responsible, going back all the way to the 1800s, really, but Reagan was one of the big ones. There are many presidents from both parties to blame for this problem, and ICE is doing their job to clean up America and remove people who think they have the right to invade our country and stay here forever. No one has that right. Unless your ancestors built the 13 colonies and or did Western expansion to build this country from the 1600s onward, you don't have a right to be here. You have a privilege that's been granted by the real Americans of this country, a privilege that can be revoked. And this guy we didn't even give him any privilege. He just broke in here. The guy who was arrested here on the street, some Juan who broke in through the southern border. Again, no respect for George Washington, no respect for our ancestors who built this country, no respect for our borders or our laws. And she cares more about them being dragged out of here and insulting ICE agents because of it. Okay, she's insulting American law enforcement for doing their job, for cleaning this country up of the animals who have invaded it.
Our relationships, our neighbors, the families in our communities, just to satisfy a political agenda of a criminal in the White House. But that's my personal take on it.
Yeah, so think about how bad things have to be that people voted for a guy who's been convicted of felonies in New York. She's right about the criminal part. Trump has been convicted on the court record. As somebody who knows the law, I have to admit that. That is true. But think about how bad the Democrats are. That a majority, including the popular vote, went to a guy who has multiple criminal convictions on his record. That means things have to be so bad in America that the American people would rather vote for a convicted criminal like Trump than an actual Democrat. And I didn't vote for Kamala Harris either. Okay, I got my share of issues with Trump, starting with immigration itself, where he's not tough enough. Those are other separate issues that I'm not going to talk about right now. The point is, the rest of the American people, I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about the rest of the American people, looked at these two candidates in the last election, Kamala Harris from the Democratic Party, Trump from the Republican Party, and they decided to vote for the criminal, as you called him correctly, on the court record. He was elected president. So what does that tell you about your side? Your open borders, foreigner-loving, America-hating side. You lost, they won. Okay, you're gonna have to get used to it. You can call it whatever you like. Okay, your opinion, you can have it. But as far as the policy goes, this is what the American people wanted. That's what they voted for, and that's what they're getting. Take a look at my comment section. You'll see what I'm talking about.
To satisfy a political agenda of a criminal in the White House, but that's my personal take on it.
And the political agenda is to get America back to what it was in the past, when we weren't overrun with savages from the third world. That's the agenda that even I agree with, despite whatever problems I have with politicians. Any politicians. I don't worship any politician. Regardless of whatever you think about politics, this is not about politics. This is about everyday life. This is about having to live with animals who speak foreign languages in my land every day. I hate it. And I support anybody who's willing to get these disgusting people out of my country. And that's why so many people, despite their problems with Trump, support Trump and are cheering on ICE because we are sick of living in a zoo and we want it cleaned up.
Witnesses shouted at the agents as they led the man away. As they were leaving in a white van, Angelique's 27-year-old son, Cosmos Mitchell, hurled what appears to be a glass bottle toward the vehicle. Agents jumped out, tackled him, and took him into custody.
What did he do?
Angelique says she's been told her son will face federal charges for assaulting an officer. She also tells us Cosmos has never been in trouble with the law before.
He's been working at FedEx for years. He's a great kid. He started.
Yes, a great kid who threw a deadly weapon at the ICE agents. If that hit one of them in the head, that could have been a deadly consequence. He could have been dead. Okay. A glass bottle is not nothing. And he is not a good kid. If he was back then, he is no longer. After you commit felonies on federal agents, you can no longer call him a good kid.
He's a great kid. He's starting college in September. He's a nice guy. And now they're threatening like his whole future with this.
He did throw a water bottle.
Is that what it was? He probably had it on him and he was upset. Water bottle, that's plastic. They were like 50, 60 feet away, driving away. So that's such a threat.
Crossing.
So look at the irresponsibility of the news people there. Okay. They didn't even inform the subject that they're interviewing to tell them the clear details of what her son actually did. He didn't throw a plastic bottle, lady. He threw a glass bottle. Okay, you can see it in the video. The people here at Fox 11 who are interviewing this woman didn't even tell her the exact details of why he's been arrested. They pretended that was a plastic bottle. So this is the kind of shabby journalism that these local outlets do when it comes to immigration, either accidentally or intentionally. They lie about what happened in these events to demonize ICE and vilify ICE as much as possible and make the actual criminals who broke into our country, the guy was arrested, and this kid who threw a glass bottle at the police, they try to whitewash the crimes of those people who are the actual criminals and try to attack ICE instead and make them look menacing and, like the thugs that they wish that ICE was, when ICE is just doing their job to clean up our country. And we are forever grateful, at least I am. Okay. The real Americans are grateful for what ICE is doing, regardless of what these other people say.
So that's such a threat.
Crossing the line would be using physical force against a law enforcement officer.
Criminal defense attorney Dimitri Gorin says people need to be extremely cautious about interfering with federal agents.
Federal charges are very serious. They do carry stiff sentences, and we just all need to stay safe. It is very disconcerting to see arrests happening in broad daylight.
Really? It's disconcerting to see arrests of criminals in broad daylight. When would you like them to be arrested? At night? Would that make it better? If it was at night, no, you don't want them to be arrested at all. He's a criminal defense attorney, so of course he loves the illegal aliens who invaded our country. Okay? It's not disconcerting for me. I think it's awesome that these animals are being hunted and arrested and deported out of here. I think it's awesome, bro. And you should too if you're a real American. This guy's not a real American. And you know what I mean.
Of people that are not committing crimes, and we do want to.
They have literally with their existence committed a crime. Their bodies, their ugly, filthy bodies being in this country is a crime, bro. They just cannot get this through their head. Okay, their very existence on George Washington's land, in Anglo-Saxon land, is a crime. As soon as their Mexican feet or whatever feet touch this land, they're committing a crime. Most of the people who have broken into this country, the illegal aliens, they're Mexicans. Okay, you can look at the statistics, and that's why I say Mexican often, because that's the case. Okay, or there are other people from others South and Central American countries.
The first instinct for a lot of people, but do that. You can help people using good judgment, which is to not physically resist, physically interfere, and get close to law enforcement.
If convicted, Mitchell could face anywhere from a year for a simple assault up to 8 years for a felony. So
Mitchell is going to face a felony assault because unlike the case in DC where that guy threw a Subway sandwich, that is simple assault because a Subway sandwich can't kill anybody. Okay, even from that proximity. So the DOJ overcharged in that case, in my opinion, legally speaking. They should drop that down to the simple assault, which is a misdemeanor. Here in California, this would be considered a felony assault. Okay, a glass bottle is considered a deadly weapon. It can potentially grievously harm somebody or kill them. Okay, if you drop a glass bottle on somebody's head, they can die, okay, or have serious brain damage or trauma. So that is considered a deadly weapon and therefore can be charged as a felony assault. So this is what I'm talking about when I say citizens are putting their lives at risk and their freedom at risk when they try to stand up for these illegals. Okay. And by the way, here, the guy was already arrested and ICE was leaving. So there's no way to defend this situation saying, oh, he was just trying to defend somebody, which is what they would try to say, the defense attorneys, but there's nobody to defend. The guy has already been arrested, the illegal, and they were driving away when he threw the bottle. So this is nothing but just malice and hatred and vindictiveness for throwing this bottle. He is not a good kid anymore. He's a felon. He's about to be a felon after he's convicted. And regardless of what mom says here, to be fair, I don't think she had all the details of what exactly her son did. It was not a plastic bottle. She might have actually thought that it was. Then if that's the case, then she didn't have correct information. But if she still defends him after finding out that it was a glass bottle, then there's no hope for her. Okay. So, whatever. That's his mom. So she's going to try to defend him. I get that, but she's wrong. Okay. Your kid is no longer a good kid because he decided to stand up for an illegal alien who invaded his country and your country, but decided to side with the criminal instead of the law enforcement and decided to throw a deadly weapon at the law enforcement. Your kid deserves everything that he's going to get very soon. And he, like I said, he's already been arrested and will be charged very soon with federal charges. And we'll see what happens there. But that's all I got to say for this video. Do not put yourself on the line for these illegals if you care about yourself, but that's just my advice. Okay. Look out for your own kind. Stop worrying about foreigners more than your own fellow American citizens. And that's the only advice I can give to the left. Not that they're going to listen. They're going to keep being idiots and keep getting in trouble for it. And it's a very shameful situation that we have arrived in this country. So, but that's where we are. Thank you so much for watching as always. See you guys in my next video and stay safe out there.